Trevs Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. It's too sweet. Anyway, told you I was ready for division predictions. And we're almost a month away from the regular season beginning. So, with that in mind, it's about that time where I do that thing that I do every year. I try and predict the final division standings. So, let's see how bad my predictions are this year. So on paper, one would think that the Atlnantic Division would be the easiest one to predict. And you might not be wrong, but you might not be right either. You gotta remember, some teams, more specifically Florida, Montreal, Ottawa, to a lesser extent Detroit, actually got better on paper. But is it better enough to make a difference, to actually make a playoff run? No. I'll give you my takes on who I think is going to finish where. So let's get on with it. It's coming in 8th or last in this division. I'm going with Montreal. I'll explain why. Yes, they got first overall with Slavkovsky. Yes, they got Kirby Duck. They got Sean Monahan, who's on IR. They improved in a few fields. Defense, although it could use a good bump up, is not going to be a question. Jake Allen is your starting goaltender, considering he was your starting goaltender last year, and look how well that turned out. That should be your question. And unless they have a solution on how to fill that hole that is normally reserved for Carey Price, it's going to be a long year. But I don't think it'll be 32nd overall bad. I got that for a different team. But I do think they're going to finish last in the Atlnantic this year. And it'll probably be the last time that happens for a while. Coming in 7th, I got Buffalo. Now this is a pick I wanted to be wrong with, because I'd love to see Buffalo be a playoff team again. It's been too long. But this will probably be the last year they finish this low. Whether or not they make the playoffs next year or not is another story. But between Dahlin, Owen Power getting a full year in, re-signing Tage Thompson, which was an amazing move to convince him to sign a 7-year deal. With the supporting cast around him, I mean, you have to think Okposo too. He's in his last year, but is he going to be healthy enough to play? And what kind of Skinner are you going to get this year? If this is the last year of growing pains, that's a great thing, because you got a lot of kids waiting to just explode. Maybe even be playoff contending explode. But I think this year is probably the last year it'll be that they'll finish this low and this far out of a playoff spot. Next year should be exciting. Coming in 6th, I got Boston. Not only have Boston this low, more in the sense of their veterans are aging. Pasternak's in a contract year. Marchand's supposed to miss some time at the beginning of the season. Apparently so is McAvoy. You got Olmark and Swayman in the net. And I mean, yeah, it got you good last year. And you got a new coach behind the bench too. And that's where I think you have to worry is, are they going to be able to respond to a new head coaching system, being the old system worked so well? And with Montgomery having a preference to younger players, you got to think a lot of the veterans are probably just going to get phased out. So unless the youth is good, and that's here nor there, this might be that one-off year where they just don't contend for a playoff spot. Number 5, I'm going Ottawa. Well, Senators are actually spending money. And it's awesome too, because the Norrises, the Kachucks, the Stutzelas, they're all coming into their own. Like this is the part where Ottawa actually starts competing and playing to win games. On top of that, bringing in Giroux, DeBrincat, and Talbot. That's good pieces to add. The question with DeBrincat is, are they going to be able to keep him, as he's a restricted free agent, and we all know how well restricted free agency works in a Canadian market. All said, do I think they'll make a wild card? That's subjective. I mean, they could push for a spot, definitely. Wild card, I mean, I'm not putting it beyond reason, but I'm not going to say yes or no. Either way, it's going to be a fun time to watch the Senators. Number 4, I'm picking Detroit. I mean, obviously, your biggest storyline in Detroit is Larkin and Bertuzzi are free agents at the end of the season, but I don't think that'll play a factor. If anything, I imagine one or both will get re-signed. But on top of that, bringing in Andrew Kopp, bringing in Perron just for the veteran guidance. You got to think Raymond and Seider are playing with a huge boost of confidence now, especially Seider after winning the Calder. You know, a guy who wasn't even supposed to go first round. Bringing in Husso to go with Nedeljkovic in the net. That's a great move. I mean, Husso's proved himself in St. Louis. So hopefully he can mesh well with the defense. And the sky should be the limit for the Red Wings. Maybe, just maybe. We'll see them back in the playoffs. Picking Toronto for number 3. This is a case where I want to be wrong in the sense of I don't want to see them finish third, but they're in win now mode before a lot of people end up losing jobs. Either way, one of the big pieces is definitely getting moved out this season. I just don't know if their goaltending situation is a comfortable goaltending situation. I mean, Matt Murray's coming off of how many consecutive losing seasons? And you got Samsonov in there as well. And I mean, nothing against either one of them. But Murray's not the Murray of old, and is Samsonov a good choice for a backup? I don't know, but third is where I think that's the highest they're going to go. Florida's coming in second. I mean, yeah, they got really good last year, you know, President's Trophy and all. So now they know how to win. They're going to definitely at least keep themselves in the top 2 of the division this year. I mean, adding Kachuk to go along with a Reinhardt, a Bennett, it's just too much to ask for. On top of that, you have Barkov. Your defense is getting very, very good. Bobrovsky and Knight are going to be a solid tear in the net. They're going to do really, really good this year again, but not first. Winning the division, I got Tampa Bay. A lot of people I've talked to want to start writing these guys off, saying they're getting old and they're getting this and that and the other. But if you want to talk about a case of getting old, 2 of their top 3 players are only in their early 30s. Kucherov isn't even 30 yet. On top of that, Vasilevsky's still going to be a monster. And if these guys are getting old, they've stocked up the cupboards well in supply for when they do. I mean, this is still Stevie's team. It's just being very well watered, very well maintained. This is a team that's built to win, and they're going to win. And after losing the cup last year to Colorado, you got to think that, yeah, the plan was disrupted. They have to get back. So look for them to play with a vengeance. I'm not calling them President's Trophy winners. I got a different team in mind for that. But I am calling them cup hungry, because they definitely wanted that third one. And I'm not going to go ahead and say they're going to make it to the cup final. I'm not here to predict playoffs. I'm only here to predict regular season. But they're going to make a strong case all year long. And that's my attempt at the Atlantic Division. Let me know if you think I'm out to lunch on some of this. I'd love to hear some constructive criticism. So I'll revisit this at the end of the season, and we'll go over how I did. Another one of Trevs Hockey Shows. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you're here. Like I said, feel free to give me your predictions. Let me know where you think I've lost the screw on some of this. I'm comfortable in this pick. I've been drawing this out all summer long for every division, so I'm finally comfortable saying that's my final prediction. But again, let me know what you think. I'm out to lunch. But if you've made it this far, give me a thumbs up. If you want that shiny red button, you know what it does. You know how it makes you feel. You know what you're going for. So let's make it happen. Socials, they're in the description down below. Let's move forward. Since we're sticking in the East, next video is the Metro, and that'll probably be a tomorrow thing. But either way, in the meantime, in between time, be looking for more videos from Trev. Later.